Hello, everyone. So today's topic is a continuation from where we started yesterday. Looking at these different family roles in the narcissistic family system. And so today we're zooming in on this role that kind of, in my mind, goes alongside the one we looked at yesterday, the golden child. So we have in the golden child, as we said, this sort of ideal, pleasing image, excuse me, of the narcissist. But in order to keep the system in balance, every narcissistic family needs a scapegoat. And that's what we're focusing in on today. So I was looking at the origins of this word scapegoat, and I think it dates back to the 16th century when it was first coined. But in the Bible, another biblical image, it's in the book of Leviticus. It's spoken of for the first time, and it's there that a goat was designated to be cast into the desert to carry away the sins of the community. And this is an exact depiction of what the scapegoat child is used for. So in the narcissistic family system, it's all about creating the false self of the family, the false image of the family. And the golden child is pleasing because the golden child upholds that and is a reflection of that. However, in order to find a means of dealing with the dysfunction, which is there, which is very clearly there, the narcissistic family needs to have some way of dealing with the uncomfortable dysfunction, the sins of the Old Testament. And so what they do is the narcissistic parent will designate one child to be the scapegoat child. And this is the child that does not live up to the image, the false image of the narcissistic family, the narcissist. And so this child is the one that the others can look on with scorn. It's almost like, the scapegoat child is just not one of us. They really aren't able to just naturally fit in. That's the message that comes across to the scapegoat child. So the scapegoat child is designated in the role, and it's my thinking on this, and I'm not sure of the theoretical underpinnings of this at all, but I think that the first child will often step into the role of golden child, and then the next child will take on the role of scapegoat. However, and I haven't mentioned this yet, these roles are changeable. So as one new child comes in, then that child may become the golden child, and the first becomes the scapegoat. So it can be a bit confusing. But for the purposes of what we're talking about today, one of the children in the family is in the role of scapegoat. And the scapegoat represents and carries and expresses the family dysfunction, the sins, the things that they don't want to see. Instead of going within and dealing with the issues, they metaphorically sort of not even sweep it under the carpet. They rather throw it onto the golden child and make them the problem, so that there's no self-reflection here. It's out there. So whereas the golden child is praised and included as one of us and accepted, the scapegoat is shamed, excluded, a real sense of being excluded, and the sort of underlying message of you're just not quite one of us. You just can't seem to fit in. So in many ways, it's like being at primary school. And I'm thinking back on my own primary school years here, where the cool kids, which I wasn't one of, needed to define their coolness by shaming the uncool kids. And please bear in mind, when we're talking about narcissists, emotionally, they are only developed between the ages of 2 and 5, usually more towards the lower end. So this is a good analogy to keep in mind when we're looking at the narcissistic family. It's like being in the playground. You've got the cool kid who chooses a best friend, the golden child. They've got another friend who's enabling. They might have another one who's kind of just hanging around, trying to fit in. And then they've got the scapegoats who they're just like, you know, they are not us. They don't fit in. Look at them. That's not who we are. So this is the same dynamic in the narcissistic family. The scapegoat is therefore the unhealthy solution to the many ills in the narcissistic family. They are the problem, not us. What I don't like in me, I point at in somebody else, and that makes me feel better. Makes me feel better than that. And that is really the constant message to the scapegoat is, what is wrong with you? Why did you do that? Why did you say that? What are you doing wearing that? Look at you. Why did you feel like that? You're so sensitive. Even bodily gestures, like, often shaking the head. As soon as you say something, there's a shaking of the head, or there's a rolling of the eyes, or looking at you as if you're just not normal. There can also be more clear shaming and blaming, such as, because of you, I've had to sacrifice so much, or I didn't marry that man, didn't get to marry that man, or slaving over the hot stove, etc., etc. So it's blame, 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 me victim. That's how the narcissist treats the scapegoat. And the scapegoat really is blamed for the decisions that the narcissist has made for their life. So an innocent child is made to take on the blame and the guilt for being an added burden to the miserable life that the narcissist is leading. And you can imagine for a child, it's really hard, this, because all a child wants to do really is please its parent. And the scapegoat child can see the golden child, not really doing much, but getting lavished with praise and hugs and, held tight. And yet they're the one that's constantly being yelled at, or, demanded to help and do things that the golden child is not. So it can really leave deep wounds, this, and a sense of not being enough at all. And many scapegoat children do kind of get to a point where they just go, is there any point in even trying? But you see, the narcissistic parent uses this to such great effect. They've got to have a golden child and a scapegoat in order to set up the rivalry between the children. And this rivalry is, it's the power that the narcissist has over these children to sort of create a bit of a rift between them and a competitiveness. And it keeps the children coming back in the relationship, trying to get the attention of the narcissist, which is what narcissists all want, is attention. All focus on them. Everyone's got to be revolving around them. So the scapegoat is nurtured to feel shame about themselves at the core from the start. They'll often be thinking to themselves, oh, if only I was different, then I'd be lovable. If only I was better or more normal, if only I was better looking, more intelligent, more sociable, more like my brother or sister, then I'd be lovable. What is wrong with me? And slowly but surely the scapegoat begins to feel the same as the narcissistic parent tells them that actually there is something wrong with them. However, the scapegoat can have this really rebelliousness in them, and this will impact their adult relationships, where there's a tendency to always be looking for the flaw in another, not to trust anybody, and to sort of be the outspoken one, to feel like a sense of, I've got to bring justice here. I've got to wake everybody up, and I've got to call it out. But you see, often this is a self-replicating pattern, because sometimes by doing this, being so driven to do this, they end up making themselves outcasts. So there's some work for the scapegoat to let go of this drive to make everybody see the way they see, to bring about justice, and to believe that everybody is out to get them. There is some deep inner work there that needs to happen in order for the scapegoat to be free of this role, because like I said, these roles are very deeply entrenched, and they do affect us, particularly on the relationship level. Anyway, without me going on and on as usual, many of the symptoms of the scapegoat you can assume anyway would be low self-esteem, anger, depression, not believing in themselves, nor following their dreams. Just a sense of not believing they can be anybody, that even the skills they have, the natural talents they'll ruin them if they go after them. But the thing is about the scapegoat, they're often the first child to step out of the family system, and this is wonderful because they are the ones that generally begin the healing work first. So the solution for the scapegoats to begin with is to begin to try to balance their view of others by beginning to pick out the good in others, as much as being able to see flaws, and to begin challenging the view or the role of the scapegoat of being the one that's cast out, that doesn't belong, that nobody wants. Begin challenging those messages, and replace them and say, well, is that true that nobody wants me? Is it true that, in my work team that nobody wants me? Or is that me projecting out this role that I've been groomed to be in? Another thing that needs to happen is the scapegoat needs to begin to own their own beauty, their own intelligence, their own skills, and being, dare I say, a little bit more vocal about them, a little bit more bold, in saying things like, yes, I like writing and I'm very good at it. Or I have a natural affinity with, I don't know, mathematics, and it's a skill that I'm proud of. So what I'm saying is, it's time for the justice for the scapegoat child is to begin to take center stage in their own life, as uncomfortable as it may be, and not be bothered by others who may try to shame them for it. And for the scapegoat is to begin to have the inner mantra, of I am so proud of you, as opposed to what they were nurtured on, which is you are such a disappointment. What is wrong with you? Now we switch it to I am so proud of you, and we're going to do this. This work, these roles are deeply embedded in our psyche, and therefore, to really free ourselves, we need to do work on the subconscious. There's no ifs or buts about it. We can just work on the cognitive, but it's going to take years and years. So that's why the way I work is, I like to think it's a bit different. It's really powerful. It's really focused, and it's really structured around these narcissistic roles, the narcissistic system, the impact of narcissistic abuse. That's what it's about. It's tailor-made. If that is your situation, don't go anywhere else. Well, I'm only saying that because I would love to work with you. So I'm going to leave my Calendly link at the bottom here, and please book yourself in for a free consultation. And tomorrow we will have a look at the other two roles, probably do those together. So I shall see you then. Take care, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye now.